Greetings, folks. It's your friendly neighborhood PhD, Dr. Judd Burton, coming to you with another episode of the Beyond Report. And as always, if you like the content, the updates, click a like, subscribe, and share. And today, I'm sort of continuing on the track that I did with the last report. I talked rather extensively about the classes that I offer through the Institute of Biblical Anthropology, and I'm really excited about those. I have students from all walks of life, and if you're interested in studying the biblical world, looking at it through the lenses of context, archaeology, anthropology, culture, linguistics, all of those things come to bear in understanding both the material world, the cultural world of the Bible, but also brought to bear on more supernatural issues, issues such as demonology and the giants and the watchers, coursework that deals with a lot of these things. You can take individual classes. You could take the entire 12-course module that will get you earn you a certification. And at any rate, those classes are available. I'll put a link in the description so that you can check those out for yourself. But again, I would highly encourage you to take them. I don't think there's I should say that it's always a good thing to study the Bible. We should all be students of the Bible, but these are somewhat more perilous times, dare I say prophetic times, so there's really never been a better time to be acquainted with the context that the Bible is written in, and that's really how you can get the most out of it, is by reading it in context. So again, something to keep in mind, one of the many goals of the Institute of Biblical Anthropology, in terms of its, and also in addition to its midterm research and expeditionary goals as well. You guys have heard me talk also about a number of these books that I've been working on piecemeal over the last couple of years, and just by virtue of the teaching load that I had at my last academic post, I simply could only work at these projects piecemeal. But I'm happy to say that many of those are coming to completion, and there will be a veritable parade of releases from my publishing house during the course of the fall. And the first one is just in time for Christmas, a book of Christmas related Bible studies. Topically, you're covering issues like, of course, the Nativity, the Magi, the dating of Jesus' birth, the Star of Bethlehem, etc., etc. So there's something there that I think will be edifying for everybody, and you get a little bit of culture and context as well associated with the story of the Nativity. That's simply the first one. Of course, there's another big project I'm excited about, the book on Göbekli Tepi and the Bible, that I'm collaborating with with archaeologist Dr. Aaron Judkins, who many of you will be familiar with. We hope to have that out for a fourth quarter release, and so lots of writing. The pen is very active, as it were, during the course of the fall. I'm also going to be offering very soon classical tutoring services. You guys know how hard I push the classics, because quite frankly, our educational system in the West used to be firmly rooted in the classics. And in my opinion, as an educator, having done this for over 2 decades, the classical methods are superior. They produce superior results. They hold students to a higher standard, and can be broadly applied. And so, for tutoring purposes, I'll be offering subject tutoring and, of course, history, ancient, medieval, modern, U.S. history, geography, politics, the humanities, classical languages. Um, so if you're interested in, if you have a student that needs some help, or you yourself as a student need some assistance, I'm happy to provide that, and I'll be giving more information about that, and you can stay up to date by checking out Burton Beyond regularly. The tutoring information you'll find there. Now, there are a couple of bits of news that came across my desk recently that I thought that I would pass along to you guys. And one of them has to do with an article that popped up on my news feed about all of these Mesopotamian antiquities that have ended up on the black market. Many of you will remember that during the invasion of Iraq in 2003, a large number of Mesopotamian antiquities were stolen. A lot of these museums, including the Baghdad Museum, were looted, and many priceless antiquities from its ancient cultures ended up on the black market. And this remains true to this day, and it reminded me of a book that I read in grad school, and I'll never forget it. The cover really encapsulates the sentiment of the book, and it has the curator of the Baghdad Museum is sitting on a ledge that had fallen during the invasion, and he has his head buried in his hands, and he's weeping, and that really just kind of says it all. Now, outside of the value of these antiquities in terms of their cultural resource value, their value to the peoples of Iraq and their ancient past, what other entities outside of the black market, outside of illegal antiquities dealers, got their hands on some of this stuff, and what purposes might they be putting it to, might they be using it for? Who knows? The consequences we may actually have yet to experience. Another article that I read recently had to do with as always, I'll put a link in the description to the previous article and this article about Göbekli Tepe. Recently, a new analysis on some statuary at a nearby town called Urfa, which is just a few miles away from Göbekli Tepe, that fascinating site in southeastern Turkey, which is likely the oldest temple structure dating back to the 11th millennium BC. But at any rate, Şanlıurfa has some phases of its occupation that were contemporary with Göbekli Tepe, and the statues in question are clearly anthropomorphic. They look like people, and scientists, archaeologists dubbed them Urfa men. And the comparison comes with some rather abstracted anthropomorphic statues at Göbekli Tepe, which have these big bulging eyes. In fact, the eyes make up the totality of the head. But the point of comparison comes from a double V around the neck of both of these statues. They seem to be identical, kind of like the V made by my collar here. That is really interesting insofar as that not only there is this cultural connective tissue, or I should say additional cultural connective tissue with Göbekli Tepe, but in the case of the so-called eye icons, or eye statues, eye idols, as scholars have dubbed them at Göbekli Tepe, it made me instantly think of the Watchers. And when you sort of break down the language of words used for the Watchers, like the egregore, you begin to see that the implication there of one of the duties of this cabal of angels was to in fact look at or observe in some capacity. So I'll put a link in the description to that, and you can look at that as well. Very excited also to be launching a new program here pretty soon called the Explorers Club, and this is in collaboration with a good friend of mine, Mr. Cliff Owen, and it's going to be really fun. It's history, it's a part travel log, it's part paranormal show, Mr. Owen and I have done quite a bit of travel together. We've done archaeology together. We go way back. We went to school together, we went to college together, we've played in bands together, so we have a lot of shared history, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I hope to finish up the editing for that this week. Also more content, specialized content on a couple of upcoming movies. Dune, Frank Herbert's Dune, the new adaptation, is going to be one of those, and of course I'll be talking probably starting next year. I'll be talking more about the Batman movie as well. Quick Classics is coming up. Speaking of classical education and all things classic, continuing a two-parter that I started with the trivium system. I'm going to be talking more about the quadrivium in the next episode. So anyway, thanks guys for tuning in, and again, if you like the content, click a like, subscribe, and share, and everybody stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Godspeed.